Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for continuing to follow along and getting to know me and my family. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Caitlin. I film videos on all sorts of content, from vlogs of our weekends here living overseas in Guam to unboxings, grocery hauls, and then videos like today's content focused around the military lifestyle. So specifically today is a video that I wanted to film for a while. And I don't know, I just never got around to sitting down and filming it until I was talking with someone about it the other day. And that is the PE flight, or the Patriot Express, which is the military flight that we took from Seattle to get to Guam. And the reason I wanted to film this video is because there's so much negatives focused around the Patriot Express. And I don't really know where that comes from. I think part of it is that people think that it's just a MAC flight, and it's not. It's a full-blown flight and plane. So that is what I want to focus on today, talking about what the Patriot Express is and our experience that we had and what to kind of expect if you're going to be flying on the Patriot Express. I'm super excited to film this today because it is getting back to my roots. One of the many reasons I created my channel was to be able to share military content because, I feel like I'm a wealth of knowledge and I have a lot of really good feedback and information to share with all of you, and in hopes to helping one of you guys. So let's get into it without further ado. What is the Patriot Express? So like I was saying, it is a military flight. It is a full-blown plane. It is based out of Anderson Air Force Base in Seattle. So it leaves from Seattle SeaTac Airport and flies to Guam, or vice versa. The benefits for the military for putting them on this flight is that it is cheaper for them than putting us on commercial because it's their plane. It's also beneficial to us with pets because it is highly discounted. So instead of paying a couple $100, instead of paying a couple $1,000, you're paying a couple $100. And those of you with pets overseas, you know it is, or at least from Guam, very, very hard to get your pets on island and off island. It's a struggle. So if you're able to get one of those slots on the Patriot Express, it is highly, highly beneficial. For me, I don't really have a lot of information on that because me and Rowdy decided not to get a dog or any pets coming from Washington. We decided to wait till we get back to the States to get a pet. So if you have any questions about that, maybe leave them below and someone who has ridden on the Patriot Express can maybe answer them, or maybe I can look up and find the information for you. But moving on, so my personal experience was, first off, the seats were very spacious. So the setup of this seating is there is 2 seats on the outside of the plane, and then there's the row in the middle. It felt more like we were sitting in comfort seating, or like the upgraded, because there was a lot more leg room than a normal flight, which for someone like me and my husband, I'm 5'10", he's 6'3", we got some long legs, y'all, and that extra leg room was wonderful because you were going to be flying for a super long time and it can get cramped. So first benefit. The second benefit is that just like a normal flight, it has the screens on the back of every seat and plugs for all your electronics. The screens are preloaded with movies, games, etc. I watched Toy Story 3, which was a newish movie at the time that we were flying. So they were preloaded with newer movies. I definitely felt like I overpacked electronics, but it was very beneficial because I had stuff to do. We packed our Kindles, our Switch, our phones, books. So we were fully prepared, but that was really nice because we didn't have to utilize our power banks. We could use those when we were at the airport or waiting around. So it was nice to be able to plug our stuff in. A lot of people don't realize that the Patriot Express has that. The next thing that was very beneficial was you get fed 3 meals. So you get a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner. Breakfast, I want to say, was like pancakes and eggs. Lunch, you get like a sandwich or something. Dinner was like chicken and rice. You got to pick from 2 different options. They gave you 2 different things. If they ran out of one, you obviously just got the other one, but it wasn't the greatest food ever. But you gotta remember that you're getting fed. That's not always the case when you're flying commercial. So if you're flying through somewhere overseas like Japan, they do feed you. But if you're flying somewhere into, say, Hawaii to Guam, you do not, because it's not an overseas flight, even though you're going to Guam. So that's something to note. I really appreciated that. And in addition to getting fed the 3 meals, we did pack some snacks in between because we wanted them for the airport and things like that, but getting fed. Another thing to know is that it is going to be a very, very long flight. Something really cool that me and my husband did was we started the stopwatch on our phones to be able to track how long we had been flying for. So I'll pull it up for you guys. We flew for a total of 37 hours. I don't know if y'all can see that. So one thing to note is that because the flight leaves from Seattle, if you are not based out of Seattle, you will have to get a connecting flight. So for our case, we were stationed in Washington, so yes, we are out of Seattle. But at this point in time, we visited my in-laws before moving overseas for 3 years. So we were down in Texas. So that morning we had to go from Texas and then to Seattle, wait around all day at the airport for them to board us or get checked in, and then fly from Seattle to Guam. So we had a whole extra flight or 2 in there. So downfall, if you're not out of Seattle, just know that you are going to be flying for a long, long time. Also good to note, at least in our case, it was not a straight flight from Seattle to Guam. We had to stop in Alaska for refueling, which I heard is pretty common. I heard they could also stop in Hawaii, but for our case, it was Alaska. And the downfall to this is that you can't just stay on the plane and sleep in your chair. They make you deboard the plane for refueling. Now, it was Alaska, it was the middle of the night. They usher you into like a little wing of the airport. Nothing's open, like I said, because it's the middle of the night. There's chairs, they're not super comfy. So I highly recommend having a blanket and pillow traveling for as long as this flight was. I had a blanket that I packed. I didn't pack a full-blown pillow, but I had, obviously, like, we had 2 or 3 airplane pillows, like the ones that can fold up that were memory foam. Those were very convenient, but those were nice because I was so tired after flying all the way from Texas, hanging out at the airport all day. We were in deep already, so I slept on the the airport floor. So the blanket also came in handy on the plane itself because you're flying over the oceans. It gets really cold, so if you're someone like me who's easily chilly, a sweatshirt, a jacket, the blanket was fantastic. Let's see. Basically, once you arrive in Guam, you land at Anderson Air Force Base, not the actual Guam airport. You land on the Air Force Base's tarmac. They put like the stairs up and you'll eventually deboard the plane, and then they usher you into a small room with everyone. And then I don't know if protocols have changed, seeing that COVID has kind of decreased a little bit, but when me and my husband flew, it was peak COVID. So we had to go through a bunch of screening and clearance pulling into Guam before we were actually allowed to leave. So we were definitely in that room for another couple hours. And then once you pass all your clearance, you're able to collect your bags from outside the building. They lie them all out. And then we were able to go with our sponsor. At the time, we had a sponsor because we couldn't just get in an Uber or a taxi and go to a hotel or something. We still had to quarantine for 2 weeks because those were the rules at the time. So our sponsor picked us up, took us to where we were quarantining, and yeah. But that wraps up, for the most part, my experience with flying on the Patriot Express, and just some things for you guys to keep in mind or expect if you're going to be flying on it soon. Hopefully my experience helps some of you. If you have any further questions that I didn't answer, feel free to leave them down below and I will try my best to answer them. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, leave me those comments, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more content like this. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Friday and I will see you next week. Bye!